Welcome to a Citrus TV special report. Breaking news this afternoon, 4 more incidents have taken place on campus since yesterday. Citrus TV News learned about a swastika and male genitalia found drawn in a Haven Hall stairway just after 2:30.
This right after the Department of Public Safety sent an email about graffiti in Haven Hall that contained racist language derogatory to Asian individuals. Overnight in Haven Hall, students on the 10th floor were awoken by violent knocking on their door.
DPS sent an additional email at 3:40 to inform students of another incident overnight, this one at Day Hall. They say they currently do not have enough information about this to determine if there was racial bias involved.
In that same email, DPS outlined measures they will be taking going forward to, quote, increase safety and security on and adjacent to campus. These measures include increasing shift times for officers from 10 to 16 hours, doubling their presence.
DPS Chief Bobby Maldonado just spoke. He says that the department is using as many resources as it can spare to handle incidents across campus.
Now, DPS is working on responding to new racial bias incidences in Haven Hall. Our reporter Sabrina Maggiore is live there for us now. Sabrina, we now know about potentially 3 separate incidences that occurred at Haven within the last 24 hours. What have you learned since you arrived?
Thanks, guys. That's correct. We know of 3 incidents that have happened here in Haven Hall within the last 24 hours. The first was racist graffiti towards Asian students. We were first alerted of that through an email sent out by DPS, but we're now learning that that was found by Facility Services and reported to an RA. DPS is now investigating that incident. The second incident was of male genitalia and a swastika found between the 6th and 7th floor stairwell. Both of those graffiti cases have now been taken care of by Facility Services. And the third incident was reported 2 Chinese international students and roommates were woken up around 3 a.m. by loud banging. They were afraid that that door would actually break in, and in response to these incidents now, there's going to be a floor-wide meeting at 7 p.m. DPS will be posted in Haven Hall throughout the night, and senior services of RAs and senior staff will be patrolling the building throughout the night as well.
Sabrina, thank you. We reached out to the students living in the room targeted on the 10th floor. They agreed to speak to us anonymously. A Citrus TV member translated and voiced an English transcript of their story. Here's what they had to say.
It was almost 3 a.m. Suddenly, I was woke up because someone is knocking the door very heavily. That person knocked the door for at least 2 minutes, and I was very afraid that the person would break the door. Both me and my roommate were scared that we didn't dare to make any sound to response. But after several minutes, the door was knocked again. To be honest, I didn't want to believe this was another case of racism, which was happened very frequently in the last week. There are always parties in our floor, so that it was always kind of noisy. I hope that person was just drunk. But considering all the things happened recently, I can't stop thinking this was another case for racism. I hope school could continue to investigate. Me and all the Asian students in SU want the truth. And in order to prevent similar cases from happening, the school should install camera in some public space. I was totally scared at that time, although I knew that person has left. I'm too afraid to falling asleep. Now every time I heard someone knocking the door, I'm afraid.
And Citrus TV has obtained an email that was sent to members of the SU Student Association cabinet this morning. The email, which was sent from an account named Inland Waterways Incorporated, supports recent acts of hatred on and off campus.
You see that email on your screen now. The SA Public Relations Chair John Fisher tells us that this message was not sent exclusively to students of color, and it has been reported to DPS. However, the SA president told us moments ago at the Barnes Center that the Syracuse Police Department is leading the investigation. The sit-in at the Barnes Center is still ongoing, with visits today from State Senator Rachel May, SU's men's basketball coach Jim Boeheim, and most recently Syracuse Mayor Ben Walsh. Citrus TV's Ricky Sayer is live at the Barnes Center with the latest details. Ricky?
It has been a very eventful day inside of the Barnes Center as not again SU protesters heard from assemblymen, state senators, the mayor, and the coach of the school's basketball team. None of them understand why this keeps happening over and over and over again, and that was the question I posed to Mayor Ben Walsh.
To come here, to see all of you, to be present, to stand with all of you, and to make sure that you know that City Hall stands with all of you against the hate that we've seen in this city, not only just over the past week or so, but we know we've seen too many incidents like this throughout the city, throughout this country, and we truly respect all of you for taking a stand against it. And again, we stand here with you.
Yep.
I have been here all day with the protesters, starting when the doors opened at 10 a.m. That is when State Assemblyman William Maggiore, he started speaking to the protesters, giving them his own advice. Right after that, we heard from State Senator Rachel May. Maggiore, the Assemblyman, Rachel May, the state senator. She also talked to them. Later in the day, we heard from Coach Boeheim. He brought in food for the protesters, saying he would stand in solidarity with them. They wanted to know if he 100% supported them and kind of their efforts. He gave them the food. There was a bit of a back and forth because protesters not exactly happy with Boeheim's statements earlier. Also on the day, we saw that the Barn Center kind of started telling people to go to another door. If they weren't going to that protest, that seemed to end at a point, but it did happen. And of course, we did hear at the end of the day from Mayor Walsh. Here's more of what he had to say.
But as Ricky mentioned, one of the visitors to the Barnes Center sit-in today was Syracuse men's basketball coach Jim Boeheim. Some protesters said they were upset with comments Boeheim made after a basketball game on Wednesday.
He reads demands from those at the sit-in and applauded the protest.
I think everything in here is worth looking at. I obviously don't make decisions here. I make decisions about who plays in a basketball game. But all of these things are obviously things that everybody here is behind 100%, or you wouldn't be here. And I think that how the chancellor handles this, I'm not the chancellor. I know some of the things I've seen we have started to do. There's been diversity training of the faculty, all that. There's been some of these things have been done that I've seen. Other things, obviously, you want done. That needs to be negotiated, and I hope it will. I think it will be in good faith, and I will be happy to lend my voice to that.
And with SU basketball set to play at the Carrier Dome tonight at 7 p.m., Otto's Army has announced against attending the game.
They tweeted just past 3:30 this afternoon that they are, quote, encouraging students to join the sit-in at the Barnes Center instead of attending the basketball game. After the SU women's basketball game played this afternoon in the Dome, both head coach Quentin Hillsman and some of the players weighed in on a recent string of racist incidents here on campus.
Senior guard Gabby Cooper gave her perspective on the importance of on-campus protests taking place this week.
I feel like, you have to be the change you want to be. So in respect to the protests and everything, there's things that happen that don't seem like they're right, you know what I'm saying? And there's ways that we go about things. So if people want to see different changes, they got to be the change, and I respect the protest that's happening.
This all comes as the sit-in at the Barnes Center reaches its 76th hour. The sit-in initially began after reports of racist graffiti on 2 floors in Day Hall emerged. Since then, at least 7 racist incidents have happened on campus over the last 2 weeks, including today.
On Monday, we learned of 2 incidences on racist graffiti on floors 4 and 6 of Day Hall. On Wednesday, the hashtag #NotAgainSU sit-in began at the Barnes Center. Early Thursday morning, DPS reported 4 more racist graffiti that was found on the physics building.
On Thursday evening, a swastika was found drawn in the snow off campus on the corner of Comstock Avenue and Genesee Street, near the Walnut 505 apartment complex. Syracuse police are in charge of that investigation.
DPS also sent an email late Thursday night about another report of racist graffiti on the 3rd floor of Day Hall. This then brings us to today. As we reported, at least 4 reports occurred in the last 24 hours.
We have reached out to both DPS and the Syracuse Police Department for more information about their investigations. SPD say they are giving all resources available to DPS.
While many of these are still occurring, it's important to know what resources we have to access. Citrus TV correspondent Carmela Boykin is in studio with how you can report an incident.
Thanks, Lilia. If you or someone you know has been a target of bias, it's important to know how to report it. The first option you have is to submit a bias-related incident report, or a BRI. Forms can be found at syracuse.edu by searching bias-related incident. If you live in a residence hall, you can contact either your floor RA or If it's after 8 p.m., the RA on call. If you're being threatened or are in immediate danger, call DPS. Back to you guys.
Carmela, thank you. This is everything that we know so far. Continue to follow Citrus TV News on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for updates around the clock. For now, I'm Conor Wight.
And I'm Lilia Wood. Good night.